Well, listen, now I want to turn to a gentleman that I have the utmost respect for, Mark Poggendorf. Mark owns a hobby shop out in California. He's a member of the National Retail Hobby Shop Association, and he is the host of our hobby shop, local hobby shop segment on our shows once a month. So, Mark, I'd like to run first before I really introduce you the promotional piece of video we have for the association.
This is a great family, and I hope the people that are newer to this organization, to this NERSA, realize what a great family we're building.
Since its inception over 25 years ago, NERSA's mission has always been about
collaborating with hobby retailers
to foster leadership in the hobby community. Bringing hobby stores together to help one another is what NERSA is all about.
There is strength in numbers, and NERSA's members are shops, just like yours and mine. From the very small mom and pop shop to multi-store franchises and everywhere in between.
You know, this is the founding part of this program we have here, founded on fun. So let's remember when they come into stores, they're there for fun.
There are many great benefits to being a member of NERSA, from a great credit card program, discounts on shipping, and a members-only Facebook page.
NERSA is our voice in this industry, and it is up to all of us to make sure that there is strength in our voice.
For every member that joins NERSA, our voice becomes louder and clearer. Your support of NERSA is vital to the growth of the retail sector of our industry.
And now I'd like to introduce Mark. Mark, welcome. Thank you so much for being here this evening.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks for having me back again. Hope everything's good with you. So tonight I'd like to introduce Brian. He owns a hobby shop not too far from us called Loose Caboose. So Brian, are you there?
Yeah, howdy, Mark. Howdy, all.
How you doing? Well, Brian, the reason I brought you on the show is because you have a retail hobby shop, and as sure you can see from that clip, we want to promote retail hobby shops. So why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about your store and what you do, what you offer.
Well, I am the third generation owner of Loose Caboose Hobbies. That's in Napa, California. So, you know, the place that a lot of that wine comes out of. We're a full line hobby store. So we started model railroad, 100% model railroading. And then after the other hobby store in town closed down, it was a couple years after we opened, we kind of expanded into general hobby. And then over the last, 15, 20 years or so, we've slowly integrated games, the tabletop miniature games and board games and all that kind of stuff into the hobby store as well. So we are literally a full line hobby shop with a very diverse product load. But I would say we're still about 30% trains, which is a good call out to how we started.
Well, great. What do you now? Do you have an online presence? Do you just have the brick and mortar store? How do you get to your customers, or how do you get them to come in the door?
Right now we are, I would say 99.9% not online. We've got a website that looks like it came out of 1997, and I have a very small Facebook presence that's on my 2023 goal list to expand, along with Instagram and all the other fun social media aspects, because that is a big thing that is important for retailers, having that social media reach.
Great. Now, what product lines in the model train world do you offer at your store?
So we carry, as far as scales, NHO, OMG. And for, in an HO, it's all the usual suspects, a lot of Athearn, a lot of Atlas, some Kato, Broadway Limited, the stuff. We're big into the in-scale Unitrack from Kato. That stuff is a wonderful product. And then obviously the Atlas sectional stuff in both scales. when we get up to O scale, pretty much is a Lionel partnership, but that's the most stable, and O scale's the most interesting scale in terms of standardization.
Right.
So you either go real big and real diverse in O, or real focused, and we're focused. And then G scale, we in the past we actually did a big bit of G scale, and as G scale has kind of waned a little bit in recent years,
Right.
we don't have as much as I'd like to have, but we definitely still support the scale.
Well, good. Okay. And then what do you, as a brick and mortar, what's one of the biggest problems you try to solve as far as being a brick and mortar store? What's one of those big hurdles you got to go through?
Well, I mean, I don't think a day off is a proper answer.
I know that one well.
Yeah, right. But I think it's just a matter of really balancing your profit margins by being competitive with the internet, but also being able to put enough profit in your pocket to pay rent, and hopefully yourself a touch.
Right. Now, do you offer repairs or installations of anything? Do you any other associated services?
So I do repairs in radio control.
Okay.
We have done repairs in trains, but it's third party. And my last HO repair person moved to Oregon right after COVID hit a couple years ago. So I currently don't have a whole lot of train repair that's not just refer out. But yeah, we repairs, that's somewhere where you can generate extra income that's done on your time.
Right. Yeah, it can be a bit of a pain. So anybody have any questions for Brian as far as the store?
I do. Brian, of the different product categories that you carry in the store, where are the modelers? What are modelers building these days? Are they building airplanes? Are they building trains? Are they building cars? What are the modelers building?
So that's a good question, and it's pretty diverse. I would say, the old train guys are still modeling hard. The old model kit guys are still modeling hard. We sell a lot of old military birds and a lot of armor, and then a lot of the 25th scale plastic automobiles as well. And then they call it Gunpla, but that's the Gundam plastic models. I refer to them as the giant space robots on the wall. But those are really great for the younger folks because it's something that calls out to them. It's something that they see, that's and getting them into that gets them experience in the modeling world. They will very much do dioramas, and then I've seen them make the transition to more traditional plastic models. So yeah, I think even in RC, not to go along with it, but in radio control there are certain contingents that really go scale in a very hard way. The guys that do the RC rock crawling, those guys are big scale guys. And the guys that do RC drift, on-road drifting,
Right.
those guys are also big into scale. So there's a lot of modeling that happens around the hobbies.
Brian, what can modelers do to help the hobby shop owner?
Oh, I think it's just a matter of a little bit of communication. If I don't have what you're looking for, let me know. not necessarily let me get it for you. I'm happy to do that, but I understand in today's world, you may not want to wait the 10 days it's going to take me to turn that around. So, you know, but if I don't know that you're looking for a set of Pegasus Daytons, just as a random thing,
Right.
I'm not going to order those in ever. So
Sure.
communication's a big thing. But I think also just kind of remembering that your local hobby store is there. As the third generation owner in a store that has been in the community here in Napa for 28 years, you know, there are guys who walk in the door who, oh, I haven't been here in over a decade. It's really great to be back. And you know, I've driven by this place for 12 years straight. This is my first time in. You know, you hear that kind of stuff all the time. And just being involved in your community, we do a lot of things. Well, like next month is Paint the Town Blue. The Cope Foundation out here with child abuse runs a big campaign all April. And we're heavily involved with that. You know, a lot of the different wine auctions and things like that. We'll slip Lego sets into those gift baskets, and it's just ways to keep yourself out there and stay in contact with your customer base.
Got it. Thank you.
Well,
Yeah,
great.
thank you.
So, are you finding, like in the model train world, we're seeing a lot of younger modelers coming into the hobby. Are you seeing that in your store?
You know, I have a few kids that are regular and very into it. But I wouldn't say that I've got a wealth of adolescents that are coming in that have a big interest. Kids, yes, but you know, when that kid discovers other things in life, do they stick with the trains? And so I've got a few guys that have stuck with the trains even you know, in their teen years. And then I would say that there's a decent amount of guys that come in their 20s and 30s that are also into the hobby. And so there's some young blood.
Well, that's good. That's good to hear. So what are your hours and how do the people get a hold of you?
Well, we are Tuesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Sundays 12 to 5. We do close on Mondays. Makes that day off and or the bookkeeping day, you know. But yeah, and then as far as getting a hold of us, you can email us at loosecabooshobbies@gmail.com, or you can always give us a call on that telephone thing, and that's 707-258-1222, or as my grandfather said, 1222, right? So
that's great.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, but standard stuff. You can also find us on Facebook, but like I said, that page isn't as developed as it should be.
Okay. Well, great. Well, anybody else have any other questions for Brian? He's got a really nice store over there. I've been in a few times. It's a really neat store. If you get a chance to go over and visit, I highly recommend it.
Brian, are you looking for modelers outside your area to buy from you? Or are you just concentrating on modelers who are coming in the front door?
Currently, we're pretty focused on our walk-in traffic. Something that I would like to do, again, you know, future plans. I just took over here about 6 months ago. But future plans, I would very much like to have a website up with a live inventory from my point of sale system. I think for all of us hobby stores, particularly plastic model and train oriented stuff, there's a big opportunity to have some of the really cool stuff that isn't regularly available through most channels available to hobbyists. So that's definitely something that I'd like to do, but no, it's pretty much in store.
Brian, let me ask you this. What about the relationship of the hobby shop owner to both the manufacturers and the distributors? Can you talk about that relationship a little bit? Because if that relationship whatever that relationship is for the hobby shop owner, it's basically the same for the modeler, because from that standpoint, we're in this together.
Oh, absolutely. I think in a lot of ways, the manufacturers and distributors, and a lot of times those are one and the same in today's world. But I think that for the most part, they see it that way too. I would go as far as to say, I feel like 95% of the time it feels that way. There's always those things that happen where you think, well, you could be a little bit more on my side, or is there really a reason that you're showing X in stock on your website, but I can't order it from you?
Right.
Those little things that kind of get under your skin. But I really do think that the manufacturers know, even with Amazon and the online numbers, we're still the guys that push the majority of the product. And I'll bet you that, and this is just pulling a manufacturer, we all know how locomotive pre-orders from everybody go, right?
Yes.
I mean, we're over a year from actual pre-order to delivery.
Yeah.
Most of those guys aren't pre-ordering that locomotive on Amazon waiting a year. They're pre-ordering it with guys like me and Mark. And then, a year from now, we'll be able to fulfill it for them. They know that. And I feel like for the most part, my relationship with them is very good, and they value the fact that we do business with them. I don't feel it's combative.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good. All right. Trying to think if there's any other questions. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Well, I really appreciate. Pardon?
Mark, thank you so much for bringing Brian to our attention. And Brian, thank you so much for being here with Mark tonight. I've thoroughly enjoyed the discussion.
Yeah, no, thank you guys. I appreciate the opportunity, and I will, have to tune in a little more regularly. This is the first time actually I've been here, and there's some cool stuff, boys.
Well, I hope you do come back. You're welcome anytime. And if you'll subscribe to our website, newtracksmodeling.com, then you'll get a weekly email with the login links and be able to join us whenever you can.
There we go. That's fantastic. Appreciate it very much.
No problem. Thanks again. I'll talk to you soon, Brian.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Mark, I can't thank you enough for doing this. I thought that was a great interview you had with Brian, and a hobby shop that I frankly had never heard of before.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm trying to do, is get some of the hobby shops that haven't been heard of to get these guys out in front of the general public, so to speak, and work it that way. Because there are certain ones, as you and I know, that everybody knows the name. So I'm trying to go around that, which, as we know, can sometimes be a little more difficult to get those people. But I'm persevering in that department heavily.
Well, I think you're doing a great job. By the way, I saw where your friend Stephen Elliott was elected president of the association.
Yes.
And I read in the magazine, the association's magazine, his comments about what his goals as president were. And I sent him an email that if he thinks that our show can help him achieve his goals, just let us know about it. And I hope you'll pass that along to him too.
Yeah. In fact, I got to talk to Steve this week. So Steve's been a great proponent of this industry. I'm really glad that he's so close to my store, and he's now the president. So I've got a local ear to bend on, so to speak, and work with. And Steve is a great guy, and he's definitely a good proponent of all hobbies and our industry in general. And I think things are going to do nothing but go upward. And one last quick note: next weekend, the banner will be in Salt Lake City at the Great American Train Show. So
how's that going? I mean, you still getting
it's going good. In fact, I had a couple people ask about the nonprofit status, and I told them at the time it was no. So now I can with pride tell them, yes, we have our nonprofit status, and give us lots of money.
Absolutely. The more the merrier.
Yeah, exactly.
Mark, thanks so much for helping us, and thanks
No problem.
for doing this segment. You have a nice
No problem,
weekend.
Jim. I appreciate it. I really enjoy doing it. So we'll keep it up.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, take care.